What's up, YouTube? Today we're looking at the Scroll Cup once again. Yes, this cup continues, unfortunately. But today we're looking at a bit of an interesting team in the fact that it's kind of reminiscent of an old meta Great League team. If you've been playing the Great League for a while, you've probably heard of Azu Double Ghost. It was a line that was very consistent, and it's just because Azu was weak to poison, and Ghost resist poison, so you just got two Pokemon in the back that resist poison, basically. So we've got kind of a similar team here today. We've got Brionne in the lead, which is just a mono water type, but it acts as a fairy because it's using Charm. If you've been watching literally any of my videos this week, you know I absolutely love using this Pokemon in this cup. And then we've got Sableye and Jellicent in the back. Now that does make you ABA weak to both grass and electric. So Pokemon like Lanturn and Ludicolo are going to cause you huge problems. Fortunately, the other grass and electric are weak to Charm, so you can actually stay in with Brionne. But I think you're actually going to see one of those matchups in here. So without further ado, let's hop into some battles. Okay, so we've got Brionne into Meowscarada. This is a great lead for us because it's Charm. They come in with a Tox effects and they are instantly hard-walled. One thing you'll notice about this team is that Jellicent is running Ice Beam. It's in the name of the video, it's on the thumbnail, and that's because Ice Beam has a lot of targets in this meta, whereas Surf does not. And you can kind of see that right away with Pokemon like Meowscarada, for example. Meowscarada walls both Shadow Ball and Surf, but they obviously will take super effective damage from Ice Beam. So it's kind of nice coverage to have. It also hits for super effective damage into like something like a Mandibuzz, which is super common. But here we are going for the Ice Beam against the Meowscarada, and we nearly one-shot, which is crazy because now we can just come in with Sableye, and it's a Gastrodon in the back. They are going to have to full send to Earth Powers here to do any meaningful damage. But we grab a shield, and now at this point I can just two shield through my opponent with Brionne. So I can just let this go, and they actually bait with a body slam. So that's pretty unfortunate for my opponent because now I can make it to another foul play. They double shield, and now we can just come in with our Brionne and double shield everything here because there's no point in trying to calling a bait again, even though they are going to probably bait twice here. But we actually make it to an Aqua Jet on the CMP tie with a potential Earth Power. It does KO, and they are one charm away from dead on their Meowscarada, so they resign the match. Okay, into the next match. Okay, here we go. This is the exact Pokemon I was talking about, or one of the two. It's Lanturn. So what do you do against Lanturn? You stay in. If they farm up to a Thunderbolt, you can respect it. If they don't, like in this situation where they do only go for a Surf, then you just play it out because you can actually make it to a Disarming Voice on good timing, and if you no shield, they're inclined to no shield. And suddenly, even though you lose the lead matchup, you've only lost by a few HP. We got the Lanturn down deep into the red, so pretty nice there. We are ABA weak to it, and we just take the Thunderbolt on our Sableye, and we'll just take that energy lead over whatever they have in the back. And now we just get to find out what is in the back. And they come in with a Poliwrath, which is absolutely not an answer to Sableye at all. So they're probably really weak to Ghost maybe in the back. Maybe it's Annihilape in the back. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe Lanturn double fighter. That'd be kind of crazy. But they're staying in this matchup with Poliwrath. It literally could not be a worse matchup for my opponent. But they are going to go for two Icy Winds to debuff my Jellicent. I'm super curious what's in the back. It's got to be, yeah, it is the Annihilape. And at this point, I know the game is over because I can get to two Shadow Balls and I can shield any charge moves from my opponent. And I actually reset the debuff. I make it to a foul play. This will do some decent shit, but it won't KO. And it actually does put me in farm down range, but we have got them deep into the red, and at this point I can just shield up, farm them down completely with hexes. Even though they make it to two moves, they're not going to make it to three. Unfortunately, counter spacing is not very good anymore. They try and come in with Poliwrath only to get hexed down. So does their Annihilape, and we are able to take that win. Okay, into the next match, we have a shiny Galarian Moltres on the lead, and they're staying in. That is a bit of an interesting choice from my opponent. I believe this is only an ancient power, but I will just respect this and go for the full charm down because clearly they are ABA weak to me, and they do come in with a Quillfish, so we actually respond with our Sableye. I build up to the Dazzling Gleam, and now I'm baiting with a Foul Play because I want them to throw their energy as fast as we possibly can get them to throw it. But fortunately for me, they overfarm, maybe lost track of our count, and yes, they did. They let a Dazzling Gleam go. So now this game is over. This is the regular Quillfish, so it doesn't have like Dark Pulse for coverage moves. And it's probably running Aqua Tail and Ice Beam, I would imagine. So it is decent in this meta, but unfortunately it's going to get completely walled by the Jellicent. There's just nothing my opponent can do. They realize this, so they resign the match, and we're able to take that game. Okay, into the next match, we've got Mandibuzz on the lead. This is a good lead for us. We have super effective charms, and they are staying in, which is pretty interesting. They do farm up to a Dark Pulse, so this will hurt, but I do let it go because I believe we still can win the zeros, and then they come in with a Poliwrath, which is an insane swap, but we can get off this Disarming Voice, and now we can align our Jellicent. So this is obviously a great match. Counters, Dynamic Punch, double resisted, Scald, and Icy Wind, all single resisted, or Ice Punch if they had it. Power Up Punch, double resisted. You get the idea. Every single move they learn here is completely walled. The Hex Down looks like it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, so I might be forced to throw, but that is okay because I can just throw once I get to 100 energy. And this will be enough to KO the Poliwrath, even with a complete undercharge, most likely, yeah. Even though they debuff with the Icy Wind as well. But we have Switch, we have some spare energy, and it's a Gastrodon in the back. So we're just going to go for these Shadow Balls. This will do some okay chip, but our attack is double debuff, so not too great. But we actually make it to 2, which is really nice, because now we can put them deep into the red. And at this point, I think Sableye is in a good position to sweep this end game. We are going to respect an Earth Power here. They do bait with a Body Slam, which is pretty unfortunate, so I actually catch a potential Earth Power onto my Brion, because I know my Sableye is my win con. They actually undercharge that, and they take some super effective charms at the expense of getting some energy, but I make it to a Dazzling Gleam. No baits here. My opponent's only win con there is calling a bait. So they make the right play, but unfortunately for them, I did not bait, so we were able to take that win. Sableye on the lead. So this is a good matchup once again. They come in with a Azumarill. I'm going to get into Jellicent after a few charms because now they're in double Shadow Ball range. And we can take 2 player roughs here pretty comfortably without any worry about getting farmed down because bubbles are resisted. So we are going to throw the Shadow Ball before they're able to make it to a second move. This Shadow Ball will do decent chip. It does about 50% from where they're at. But we know we can live another play rough. And they're not going to be able to bubble down really. You can see how low they are. We would be able to make it to at least 1 more Shadow Ball. So they would have to double shield if they wanted switch. And my opponent's not doing that. They can see that match to get farm on Sableye, but unfortunately they have a Toxapex in the back, and this is where Double Ghost comes in handy. We have our Sableye of our own in the back, and we do wall Sludge Wave, so they have to go for Brines, and we just have a pacing advantage, so my opponent resigns the match, and we're able to take that win. Primeape on the lead. This is once again a good lead. You can see Brion always gets these good leads. They actually bank loads of energy and then come in with a Gastrodon. They do throw right before we get to the move, but we can live 1 Earth Power. We're comfortable letting that go. And they bait with a Body Slam, which is kind of insane for my opponent. Maybe they've thrown Earth Powers on Jellicent in the past and they've been shielded. But that does mean that they can get to another Earth Power here, but I don't really need Switch. Because I have Sableye as well, and I need 2 shields because their Primeape is absolutely loaded. So I actually come in with the Sableye. I can eat one Rage Fist, so I'm going to eat the first because the second will do more damage. And it actually looks like two wouldn't quite even KO, but I will respect the damage because we don't know what's in the back quite yet, and thank God we did, because it is a Tentacruel, and Tentacruel, much like Toxapex, is a great matchup for us because Poison Jabs are resisted here, and we do have Shadow Claw, Foul Play spam, and even though they've got maybe a little bit more bulk than the Sableye, we've got pacing advantage for sure here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to farm up, catch when they make it to back-to-back Scalds onto my Brionne. Did they go for the Scald? No, they actually went for the Acid Spray, but at this point they're going to have to throw... yeah, they had to commit to the farm down. Basically, that was their only win condition, but they actually get charmed down before, so we're able to take that win. Kommo-o on the lead in the next match. This is a great lead. They get into a Azumarill. We've seen this matchup before. We like to get into our Jellicent because bubbles are resisted. And we can just go for the Shadow Ball. We actually outpaced this time because we were a little bit quicker on the swap. It's the CMP tie. So now what we can do is if they go for a play rough, we can actually CMP tie them again with the next play rough. So we're going to over farm by just one, throwing the Shadow Ball on the CMP tie. My opponent is probably going to let this go, and they do. Are they going to come in with the Kommo-o? They are, because they want to get energy, to get that close combat loaded for my Brionne. But do they know about the Ice Beam tech? They do not. And now we can just come in with Sableye, and they throw right away blind. They kind of had to. Hopefully it is the close combat. It's actually Brick Break. My opponent is on Brick Break. I think at that point just run Kommo-o. They have a Sableye in the back, so this game is over. We've got super effective Shadow Claws. They've got resisted counters. We have a pacing advantage. And even though both of our charge moves are neutral, we just are going to be able to Shadow Claw farm them down before they're able to get to a move. So my opponent resigns the match, and we're able to take the win. Did I just see LNDS something? This could be a pro player potentially. They've got a Lanturn on the lead, and we are staying in with our Charmer here. They do throw on alignment, so if it is the Thunderbolt, I do kind of want to respect it because they do have enough energy for it. But they do bait with the Surf, which is unfortunate. But now we can make it to a Disarming Voice, and they do shield back as well, and they throw. So that's actually really good for me, because that means they're not going to come out loaded with energy. And now we can just come in with Sableye, and if we throw the Foul Play right away, they will not be able to get to a charge move, which is nice. But that also means we will not come out with energy loaded. But it is a Guzzlord in the back. So what are we going to do here? We're going to farm up to a Dazzling Gleam, baiting with the Foul Play. Foul Play does grab the shield, and they are going to get to a charge move here. Am I going to go for one and catch of the Brutal Swing? No, they're going to go for the catch, and it's a Golisopod in the back. And even though Shadow Claws are super effective, newsflash, Golisopod, I was going to say your charge moves are all walled here. I was expecting Aqua Jet and X-Scissor, but Aerial Ace is neutral. Funny enough, Aerial Ace does about the same amount of damage as a resisted Aqua Jet would do, so my opponent not really benefiting from that, but they are going to get the Shadow Claw farm down, but it does put them in one Shadow Claw farm down range. They don't have the move. We come out with a Dazzling Gleam loaded. This is double super effective damage into the Guzzlord, one shot to the Guzzlord from nearly full HP, and we're able to take that win. Brionne into Annihilape in the next match. This is once again a great lead. They come in with a Feraligatr. So I go for 3 charms, and then I want to soak up this damage on the Jellicent. I'm not too worried about the super effective Shadow Claws because I also don't really need Switch. We have Sableye for the Annihilape as well, which is a great matchup for both. So we would rather keep our shields in this situation, let them burn shields thinking they need to flip switch. They do get a Shadow Claw farm down, but at this point I can just come in with Brionne. I can eat one Hydro from a non-Shadow Feraligatr. I can't probably eat 2 after these Shadow Claws, so if they do get to 1, which they do on 1 HP, which is a bit unfortunate, I have a charge move loaded at this point, so I do want to preserve my Brionne. but I will get the charm farm down, and it's a chestnut in the back. So we're able to get to this Dazzling Gleam. My opponent is ABA weak to Fairy, and we've got so much Fairy coverage on this team. They come in with Annihilape. They get outpaced. We get to the Dazzling Gleam before they even get to a Rage Fist, so we are able to hold on to the shield. And now they're going to need to make it to 2 charge moves before we're able to make it to another Dazzling Gleam. And unfortunately for my opponent, especially if they full send a Frenzy, they're not getting there. So we are able to take that win. Into potentially the last match of the video, we've got a neutral lead, a non-Shadow Quagsire. So we're just going to play this out. We're going to go for our charms. They're going to only go for a Mud Bomb, apparently, throwing on alignment, which is nice for us. That charm will go through, and then they come in with a Toxapex. They give us Switch, which is massive, because now we can align our Jellicent to this Toxapex. And as we've seen this play out, we can eat a Sludge Wave. We can eat 2 Brines as well. It just does not do too much damage. Jellicent is so bulky, and Toxapex hits like a wet noodle because it is so bulky itself, and everything is resisted. They actually shield the Shadow Ball, which is a little bit surprising because there's no way they're flipping this matchup. They come back with a Quagsire. I go for the Ice Beam instead of the Shadow Ball for some reason. You should go for the Shadow Ball. It's better damage per energy, and just more damage in general. I just kind of panicked. But they come back in with the Quagsire. We align our Sableye this time, and then we do throw on CMP with the next Mud Bomb. And this is just because we don't know what is in the back yet. So we want a little bit of energy and a little bit of HP on all my Pokemon. But they actually shield their Quagsire at 1 HP because they want to get off this Mud Bomb. So they must be weak in the back. And they're not. It's just a Gastrodon in the back. But we don't have to be worried about a Body Slam. So we're actually going to come in, force their energy, and if they don't throw, we're going to make it to an Aqua Jet. And then I believe an Aqua Jet from this range KOs the Gastrodon. It's just the Toxapex in the back. They throw as well. They should have come into the farm down. That was their only win condition. But now that they have no energy loaded, I guess they were already loaded, so they kind of had to throw because they were at 100 energy. We just let it all go, and we're going to let Jellicent sweep this game with a Shadow Ball to finish it up. Only got to use that Ice Beam a couple times in these matchups, but it really did come in clutch quite a few times. Able to get the Hex farm down on the Quagsire, and we were able to take that win. So yeah, that is Ice Beam on Jellicent. That is the power of the Brionne and Sableye core that I actually showcased, I believe, in week 1 of this cup. I believe it was the first core that I covered, just with a different third mon. I think Jellicent is really strong. If you want to improve this team, I think you just go Gastrodon instead of Jellicent. I think Gastrodon is better in this meta. I think Jellicent has a little bit more flexibility, but I do think that the ground coverage is really nice. It does make you very, very weak to Ludicolo, but there's not that many of them. So I think you can kind of get away with that. Yeah, so that's the team. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.